Okay, I've noticed there hasn't been any like real reviews on this Headrush Prime yet, except for all the paid YouTubers. So I figured I'd go ahead and do one. I'm not no big time YouTuber, as you can see with my subscribers, but you can like and subscribe if you want. Not really going to do a lot of any playing or anything like that. I'm just going to go just do some talking here real quick. I guess I should, before that, start and say even a little bit of my experience with some other things. In the past, I've owned a Kemper stage, and I didn't get along with that one too well. It seemed like I did okay when you did an amp, when you know did the capturing of a amp and a cab with a microphone. But I really wanted to do it, like at the time I had a bunch of amps, so I wanted to do just amps with a DI, and to me it was just so inconsistent when you did it that way. You could like do the same setting on your amp 10 times when you're running it just as an amp with DI, and it'd be all over the place. It wouldn't sound the same. All 10 of them would sound different. Some really good, some horrid, you know. So anyhow, I got pretty tired with that one, and then around that time Neural DSP announced the Quad Cortex, so I was like, well, maybe that'll be better. And plus that one had modeling built in. I was like, okay, that might be kind of cool. And I got on the list of that and ordered one, and I was on it for like, I don't know, a year. And you know, they just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off on the release date. So anyhow, I got, after the last time I said one more time, they put it off one more time, I'm done. So they did it one more time, and then I just canceled my order. And then I went out and bought a Fractal Axe 3, which I was a little leery of because I've heard all the horror stories on that one and how it supposedly sounds good, but it's a nightmare to program or whatever. I found that to be totally false. I thought the XFX was so much more easier to use than the Kemper, and it sounded amazing. It was just like the only piece of gear I think I've ever really bought in recent times that I plug in and just, it was a joy to play. I just couldn't stop playing. It was hard to go through any presets, and didn't do much programming the first few days because it just sounded so good. I was just playing. So that'll pretty much tell you, if you just play, that means it's inspiring. And that's what it's all about. So anyhow, I've had the XFX now for almost 2 years, and love it. And I haven't probably even played every amp on it. I'm kind of more of a Marshall guy, so I just kind of stick around with stuff that sounds like that. But it does it absolutely. It's the best piece of gear I've ever owned. It's the only piece of gear I've ever owned that you can buy it, and then it gets better and better because there's been a whole bunch of firmware updates since I got it. I think when I first got it, it was firmware like 16, and before Cygnus came out, and I think it was like the right before that. And then now it's all the way up to like Cygnus 2, you know, firmware 21 point whatever something. So it just gets better and better, and you don't have to pay. So that's awesome. And anyhow, so let's talk about here, I guess more recently, you know, the Tonex thing came out. So happened to see that when the pedal came out, and I've been a past user of like Amplitude and Sample Tank and some of the IK multimedia stuff. And so I checked into that, and I kind of realized that I'd forgot about it. I had a bunch of those jam points, so I went ahead and ordered the Tonex pedal when it comes with the Tonex software, and ended up getting a pretty good deal on that with I think I had like around $100 off, so that's pretty cool. So I checked that out, and that actually does the capturing. That's what is it capturing, cloning, profiling, whatever, all the same thing, I guess. But anyhow, so the Tonex does the capturing or profiling, whatever you want to call it, really good, very consistent. I can do amps with, you know, amp DIs like that, just the amp itself or with a cab, and every time it just sounds great. It's like, it's by far, I think, way better than the Kemper. The Kemper too, when you did do it like with a cab, it always had this like lower mid-range thing, kind of wasn't real good, and like compression. You could even do I've done it before. I did recordings of it. And you can even see it, and you're A/Bing it, the real thing compared to it. It just added like a compression to it, and it just felt kind of felt like kind of, I don't know, spongy. If that's the way I can describe it. So I mean, if you heard it in the mix, you probably wouldn't notice it, you know, but just feel playing it and stuff like that. So anyhow, I sold the Kemper I had the very next day after I got the Fractal. The Fractal was so much more inspiring to play. It was just like, you know, cool, you know. And at the time I had a bunch of amps. That was the reason I liked the idea of that Kemper. I thought, well, that'd be cool. I can, you know, clone, capture, whatever, all that, you know, profile my amps. And I did some, but so I wasn't happy with it. So I was very happy with the XFX, you know, and the Tonex. I wasn't, you know, getting that just be, you know, anything because of the XFX. I wasn't happy with it. I just thought it was kind of a cool idea, and I kind of liked that thing, the idea of, you know, capturing or profiling, whatever. And so that came about, and I got a pretty good deal on it. So like, oh, I'll go check that out. It like I said, it's like very accurate. Tonex is extremely accurate. I would almost say that the only thing it changes maybe to the sound at all is it kind of maybe sounds like it has a little less noise maybe after the capture. And of course then there's different, you can do was it 3 different ways. You can do the fast default or advanced, and I've done all 3 of them. I really can't hear a difference. Maybe there's a difference if you do really super high gain. I'm a real super high gain player, so I heard that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something there. So I just always do it on the fast. I've got a computer here is a pretty good GPU, which you have to have if you want the times to go down lower to about during your training process. You need a really good graphics card. And I have a computer. I just ended up actually right around that time I was just getting a new computer, which is kind of cool, and it has a good graphics card, so I'm able to do those in about, I think, about 3 or 4 minutes, like do a fast one. So anyhow, off to the Headrush here. Okay, hope I'm not boring you already, but anyhow, so now I just let you know that's what I have to compare it with. So I first get this, I kind of really, you know, on a whim, you know, while just seeing it the day that it was released, it's like, you know what, I can send it back. I got it through Sweetwater, so if I didn't like it, I'd send it back. And I thought it would kind of be, you know, recently I'm supposed to be hooking up with a drummer friend of mine in jamming, and he's got a really small apartment, and he's going to be using electronic drums, so I kind of needed something, you know, that I could all in one unit. I'm not going to bring my XFX because it's a rack, and he just don't have enough room for me to bring a big rack over there. So anyhow, so I was thinking about using the Tonex, capturing, you know, some of my real amps, and then actually capturing stuff off the XFX too, which it does do, by the way, really good. And then I'd need some kind of effects. Not a huge effects user, but yeah, a little bit of you know, boost pedal here, there, gain, you know, things like that, or you know, maybe a little delay and reverb, chorus, something like that. But anyhow, so I was going to have to put a pedal board together. So I thought, well, that's why I seen this. I was like, well, maybe this will help myself, so I don't have to do that. So it kind of has everything in. If the capturing, cloning thing works, you know, pretty good, then I got all the effects with it too, and I can just bring this over to his my drummer friend's place. So anyhow, so that's why I got it. So I got the first thing I did is plugged it in and started messing around a little bit with it, and then realized pretty quickly that the firmware was needed updated. And the reason I found that out is you go to the screen right here, which you probably can't see where I got that thing on a stand, but the section where it says amp cloner was not even on there. So that makes me kind of wonder if this thing was first designed to not do that, and that was an afterthought on a later firmware revision. So anyhow, I thought that was weird. So anyhow, so I did the firmware update, pretty easy. And actually it does it even online. This thing has a Wi-Fi, so that's pretty cool. You just have to put in your Wi-Fi password, and it zip right through that, no problem. So anyhow, so I'm running through the factory presets, and I'll be honest, it was pathetic. I mean, keep in mind I'm comparing it to XFX. You know, also have some, you know, use like amplitude and stuff like that on a computer, but anyhow, just uninspiring is the word I could say when it comes to the amp modeling on there, and the choices you have are very, very limited. So, and that wasn't the reason I bought it. My whole thing was hoping that this amp cloning thing is going to be the trick. So I went to go do that. First thing I did is I did find one. What was it? I think it was like a JSM 800 model that was on there, and I had one of those on the Axe-Fx. So I thought, well, okay, well, make it sound as good as I could on the Headrush, and I did. Then I matched it with my Axe-Fx and A-beat it, and the Axe-Fx couldn't sound that bad. The only way I could get it closer to sounding that bad is if I took inside the Axe-Fx and went to the speaker page, and then took off the speaker and impedance curve for a cabinet and put it on resistive load. And even at that, the Fractal still had more girth and weight and like row amp feel and sound to it than this thing did. So anyhow, not surprising. I guess the modeling here supposedly from Avid 11 racks or something like that, which is really old technology. And then also they have the revolver stuff, and that's pretty old too. So yeah, and so either one of those, it don't matter. I tried some of the amps on that, and just uninspiring is, like I said again, the word, very uninspiring. So anyhow, so I did do a clone of the crappiest way I can make my Axe-Fx sound on that JSM 800 model, and I put it on here, and that way I could A and B it, and yeah, the Axe-Fx just smoked it. And then I went back through and did another clone of the Axe-Fx with the JSM 800, how I would set it on the Axe-Fx, and just like, yeah, night and day difference. So anyhow, I think where this thing is going to excel is the cloning, and I haven't like A-B'd the cloning, except for when you're just after you make one, you listen to it back and forth, and I'd say it's pretty close. It might be missing a little bit of the high end, like very high end. It's probably something you can easily EQ out, but it's not like there's no like weird compression thing or something like the Kemper did. I'd say it's probably not on par with the Tonex as in the accuracy of the profile or clone. It's pretty close. I mean, that little bit of high end, you could probably add a little tweak here or EQ. It's like probably it's not that big of a deal. It's just like the feel is there. That's the thing I noticed too. It's like the Tonex too. It's like if I profile or clone something, it sounds and feels like it. I mean, so it's like that's I guess my biggest thing is like what I want to hear out of it. So anyhow, so it does the cloning. I would say it's like probably not the best, but it's to me, and this is just my opinion, to me it's way better than the Kemper and just a hair less maybe than the Tonex. And so that's a big win for this guy here, because if it didn't do that, it got shipped back to Sweetwater. So because it does it real well, I'm going to keep it and use it for my intended use. So I went, and you can go on the cloud here if you want. You probably can't even see that anyhow. You probably can't see it, but anyhow, my name is Mike Rowe, MikeRoe. You can go in there, and I got a few profiles, or I keep calling profiles, clones of some of the amps. I did my real Marshall 1987X is up there. Let's see here. I gotta see what else I put up here as of now. The rest of them are all Fractal models. That might sound like, oh, you're cloning a model. Well, what I can tell you is if you haven't played a Fractal, then you don't know, but it sounds every bit as good as a row amp, and sometimes even better because of some of the tweaking you can do. Like Axe-Fx, you can mod your model, so that's like really cool. So all these I've done on the Fractal have been modded, so they're not just the stock version of the amp model. I've went under the hood and tweaked a little bit. So there is a Marshall SV20, and these are all, let's see, I think they're all, yeah, just kind of mid-gainish or something like that, not clean. But SV20, I did that one. I did a JMP1. That's highly modded because the power amp section of that amp on the Fractal was not, well, at least in my opinion, not the best one, so I had to do a little bit more under the hood on that one than the rest of them. I got it sounding, basically I used to use, I got a JMP1, you can't see it over here to the left, but I used to always use it with a Marshall DSL for a power amp, so I wanted the power amp section somewhere like that. So I deep dived a bit on that one. That sounds pretty good though. Sounds pretty close to what my real one sounds like. Then let's see, there's a JMP 2204, and then let's see, there's a 1972 Plexi 50 watt, and see another one. So I got the other one, and you always 1987. So there's 5 of them up there. 4 of them are Fractal models, and it should say Fractal Model 1 there if you look at the description, and then the one is actually the real amp. So anyhow, I guess that's it. I just figured some people might want to hear a real, non-paid review of it. I'm still learning it. It's a little confusing to me on how the rigs or presets kind of work. It's like I'll make a rig, I'm not sure exactly how to save it. Like there's something, maybe it does it, I just haven't figured this out yet. But on most rack gear I've used over the years, and like the Fractal and stuff like that, you could make a preset, if you will, and then when you go to save it, it'll tell you where you save it. I haven't figured out how to do that on here yet, really. Maybe I'm missing something. And so the touch screen, I guess in general, the whole thing, everybody else online you've seen in the reviews say it's sturdy build, and I agree with all that. Touch screen's really nice. And so in person, just like everybody was saying, I don't think there was anybody lying about that or any kind of way. It's pretty rugged. I wish, hopefully in the future, I don't know if they're going to do it, but to me, I would actually prefer if they do a computer editor like the Kemper has, and the Tonex and Axe Effects and all that stuff, because me, I have this thing on a stand right here right now, so I don't like that. It'd be nicer to have it on the floor and then just have it USB plugged in to the computer, and I could do the editing there. So anyhow, so I guess that's it. Maybe I'll do another video in the future, I don't know, but for now I just thought, hey, I give some other opinion that's not paid, so somebody might get an idea whether they should go buy one or not. I would say if you're going to buy it for the modeling, don't. There's way better stuff out there for that. Probably even the Line 6. I haven't owned a Line 6, but I hear about that, so maybe those are better for that. But if you're wanting a cloning thing, then yeah, get it. And I don't know how the cloud on this thing's going to go. It's a little, so far it looks like you can only use the cloud on the unit itself. I think it would be better if you can do it online too, and maybe you can. I just haven't figured that out yet, so we'll see. So maybe that's something I just haven't figured out yet. But anyhow, yeah, if you can and you're into the amp cloning thing, and you can get clones, either download them on the cloud thing, or you make your own and stuff like that. And I would even say, hey, if you even have like a Line 6 Helix or something, you like the tones of that, you could clone those and put it on those things. So kind of cool for that. Effects wise, I guess I didn't mention that. Like I said from the beginning, I'm not a big effects user, so but I would just say the little bit of effects that I do use and I've tried on here so far, it's like not in the exact same league as Fractal, but it's like doable. I mean, I would use this in a live band situation, no problem. It'd work in any of that stuff. I was doing a serious recording, I would use the Axe Effects. But yeah, so I guess effects wise, it's not. I guess it's okay, is what I'd say. But I'm probably not the expert on that. Axe Effects is just mind-bogglingly powerful. One of the things you can do on that, so it's not even fair to compare it, I guess. But anyhow, with other stuff, I guess, I don't know, Amplitude or something like that, I'd say it's effects seem to be as good as that. So anyhow, I guess I'll get off here. I've spent enough time here, so all right. Hope that's helpful. I don't know.